Here is the case for the HOA. This is just my personal opinion. I work with a lot of clients, and many of those, when on the buying side, are concerned about HOAs. They say, I do not want to live in an HOA community. I'm not paying anybody to tell me what I can and can't do about my property or with my property, which I fully understand and advise. And for some people, suburban or subdivision life is not necessarily for you. So that is something to absolutely consider. The great thing about Texas is we have plenty of options. So if subdivision life is not for you, it's better off to find you a community that does not have an HOA, or where you just have some land and space and so forth, where you have the full right and the autonomy to do whatever you can and please and have the full ownership rights on your property. However, for many and for most, especially if you're considering new construction communities, many of our communities do have HOAs. Now in Texas, and in my experience, at least in my marketplace in Central Texas, so Waco, Temple, Killeen area, even going out to Georgetown, the HOAs are very much so affordable, especially for people that are coming from out of state, like very nominal. We're talking like $90 a quarter. For the most part, that covers HOA administrative fees and, property management pieces, maybe a pool and a park for the most part, maybe some signs or something. Now, there are some communities, so specifically like Twin Rivers in Waco. Twin Rivers, it's a bit pricey one, but Twin Rivers is really nice. It is super nice. Like it also has a golf course there. Like there are multiple amenities and so forth, pools, tennis courts, running trails, lakes and so forth. So, I feel like you do get to see some of your money, but I have also had sellers that have complained significantly saying like, I want out. So I want to take an opportunity just to highlight what are some of the pros and cons of HOAs. So many people don't understand that HOAs are very much so a firm entity when it comes to restrictions, deeds, and covenants. So whenever you purchase a property and your property is a part of an HOA, there does come with some deed restrictions, covenants, and so forth. Pretty much, in long story short, in layman's terms, whenever you buy a property in an HOA community, you are committing to abide by these rules. So if you are purchasing, it's important for you to actually review those covenants and restrictions so you understand exactly are going to be the rules, guidelines, and even the fees associated with you living in this particular community, which is helpful in an affordability analysis, so you know what your full cost of your mortgage and just living and lifestyle will be in this particular home, in this community, but also what are some of those fees and so forth, and what are some of those regulations. For some, it's simple things like you can't have broken down cars and so forth, or you can't have you can't leave your trash can out. For example, I'm in an HOA community. You can't leave your trash can out for more than a day. They would get you $25. Happened to me one time, never again. However, my particular HOA isn't as restrictive on colors when it comes to like color aspects of the home within reason. And that's the benefit of an HOA. In some instances, the HOA, in my opinion, is more so there to create a guideline or to create a process. But for the most part, not necessarily to have to utilize it unless something is really off the wall. For example, there may be a process to get things approved when it comes to adding some additional structures in your backyard of some sort. So that's something to go through. Now, if it's normal and common, most of the time it's going to get approved. If it's if it can affect more so of your neighbors and the overall aesthetic appeal, and more specifically the property values in the community, that is where there may be some restrictions, and that can be a rub sometime. And that's just something to acknowledge. However, if you notice the benefit is that you do have a process in which you can have some conversations, maybe some recommendations to try to overall, in an overall sense, keep your community connected, communal, and also growing in equity to keep up with the aesthetic and just the overall experience for everybody living in the community. Because the opposite, when you're not in the HOA, folks can do what they do on their property, and you can't do nothing about it. You can't say nothing about it. You can call laws if you want, but at the end of the day, it's their property, and they can do whatever they want to do on their property. And sucks for you if you have to be the neighbor, or you are now necessarily you kind of negatively impacted, or you don't have as positive an experience and you're not able to enjoy your home. And enjoyment is one of the real estate rights and principles of your property because of the actions or the whatever of your neighbor. But when you're not in an HOA community, there is no guideline, there is no process, there is no board to report to, there is no way to file a complaint, there's not much that you can do. So that is a benefit. So I definitely always tell people, look at the pros and cons, but more specifically, read your deeds, covenants, and restrictions so you understand exactly what are going to be the rules and regulations of your particular community, and that you understand what are the fees associated? And thirdly, be involved. So oftentimes, many people don't go to any of the HOA meetings, but they have everything to say about the HOA and what they don't like and so forth. Well, first off, you need to read before you buy and understand that. Ask questions if you don't know or if you're not, very clear. There should be an HOA administrative board. They may have a website. They may use your resources to make sure you have a very clear understanding before you move into a particular community. To get involved, as you can then understand maybe the reason and rationale behind certain restrictions or expectations upheld by the board. And you can also challenge or ask questions. And that's kind of the pathway to do it. So you are now part of this community. So if you feel as though, there are opportunities to make it a better living experience for all, like submit those to the process and allow those things to, come out based off the review and feedback and so forth from all of your community members. But I won't say write it off. Now, there can be HOAs that go like mad, but I will say I haven't necessarily heard of any HOAs in my area of Central Texas, which is Waco, Temple, Killeen, Copper's Cove. I haven't heard of any HOA that was like really that egregious. There's only one that I'm not going to mention, but so I guess I can't. No. I mean, I got to be honest. I've heard some things about Twin Rivers, but everybody likes Twin Rivers though. It's still the most desirable, in my opinion, one of the most desirable neighborhoods and communities in Waco, Texas. Twin Rivers. But yeah, I have heard some people be pretty pissed off with Twin Rivers. However, those are just things to consider as you think about HOAs. I will not say it's necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, but I definitely think it can be a beneficial thing. For me personally, I appreciate it because I am also one where I like not seeing your trash can sitting on the trash can for 3-4 days. I like not seeing broken down cars. That's me. That's me and where I like to live and how I like to live. But I know me. I can be a bit bougie. I won't say bougie, but I'm very particular about the places in which I reside and the experience that I have from the moment I walk outside of my door to the moment I go to sleep in my bed. And that includes noise as well, especially when you have smaller lots. But that's me. I'm going on my tangent. Clearly, I'm biased. I'm pro HOA as long as it is an HOA that you feel adds value and is reasonable. And I think that's the biggest thing to consider as you think about HOAs. So if you do have any more questions, feel free to give me a call, text, or email. But just wanted to take a moment to highlight some of the pros and cons of HOAs, specifically in Texas. Also to note, HOAs are not anything to play with before I get off, because people think that, I could just not pay these fines and not pay these fees. No. HOAs can put a lien on your property. Or whenever you do go to sell, guess what? You may need a document that's called a resale certificate, and that's pretty much going to share, do you have any outstanding violations? Because they're going to want their money before you can sell your house. So even if you think you're not going to pay this money, you're not going to pay these fees, whenever you do get ready to go and sell your house, it's very likely that you're not going to be able to sell your house until you pay those fees and fines. So you be better off just go ahead and paying it and being a part of the community, or not being a part of the community in the first place if you know that that's not really your style. So if you do have more questions, feel free to give me a call. Again, my name is McShan with eXp Realty, your Astute agent in Central Texas.